All right. So it looks like we have people joining now. I'll just give it like 5 seconds for everyone to trickle in. All right. Real quick, while we have people coming in, let's do a tech check. Can you hear me and see me? Drop it in the chat. Okay. Hey, Shannon. Okay. So now that we've confirmed that you guys can see and hear me, where are you guys calling in from? Minnesota, Virginia, Florida, Missouri, Colorado. Oh, well, Florida. There we go. California, I'm jealous. Ohio, Michigan, Washington, Canada. There we go. You got anyone in Europe, actually? Anyone in Europe? Or is it all just North America? Or even Australia? Oklahoma, Arizona, New York. Okay, looks like we're at no one in Europe today. Interesting. Okay, so we got about 66 people joined so far. Let's go ahead and kick it off. And then this is being recorded. So if you do miss anything, I'll share this at the end because you guys aren't going to miss anything. But we're recording this, so we'll send this out afterwards just so you have it. And you can share it with your team if needed. And if you guys have any questions throughout this, please drop it in the chat and we'll get to them and answer them throughout the webinar. So today is our monthly new feature recap for June. So in these webinars, we talk about a lot of the new features that came out in the previous month, as well as what are some of the new features upcoming in maybe the next month or two or the quarter. So for this month, we don't have as much to talk about. We didn't release as much because we're really focused on some big releases that are coming out, and so we're not able to release as quickly as we would have liked. So this will be a shorter webinar. But one of those big features that's really kind of been slowing us down on some of the other things is task sections, which we'll talk a little bit about. If you've been on the previous months, we've talked about it the last 2 months. It looks like we're going to be going into testing next week and we'll release in the next 2 weeks, hopefully, or this month to play it safe. Perfect. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about, the first release we did was the new integrations page. So let me pull up and share my screen. Perfect. So now inside Financial Sense, if you go to settings and then integrations, you're going to find our new integrations page. We have been putting a lot of emphasis on integrations in Financial Sense. Our goal is to integrate with all the other technologies in your tech stack, right? To automate a lot of those admin tasks. So for example, we've always integrated with QuickBooks. That helps when you create a client in QuickBooks, it creates a client in Financial Sense. Syncing time tracking, we're billing out of QBO. We want to integrate with other systems like Ignition, Anchor, all your proposal systems. So when someone signs a proposal, it creates work inside Financial Sense. We want to integrate with your document management systems. We want to integrate with everything. Just because it makes your life easier, saves you time, and makes our product more valuable. So this is the new design. There's a few things with this design. One, it's easier to look at. Before it was just one long list. There was a lot going on, but now you can see all your integrations. You can see, which integrations are active. It would show which integrations are not active. And like you can see if there's issues on integrations. And if you click into an integration, you can manage it. So it's just a cleaner, more simple look. Now, I haven't looked at the questions yet, but I'm sure this is in there. People might be on the integrations page and wonder, why don't I see SmartVault, Google Drive, or OneDrive on my integrations page? That's because these are still in beta. So if you want to see these integrations and want to use them yourself, you can. You just have to reach out to our support team and ask to be put on the beta to test out the solutions. But just know that we're still working on some improvements to make them better, and also just work some of the bugs out of them before we do a full release. So I'm going to go to questions real quick. So we had a few. Oh, no, these are just AI assistants. Okay, no questions so far. So the next big thing, if you scroll down, is our Zapier templates. So we decided to create these because a lot of people want to use Zapier to integrate with any app in their tech stack, right? You can integrate with Calendly, like you can see here. We have OneDrive, Google Drive as well. Ignition, Anchor, Dropbox, Typeform, Google Forms, Cognito Forms. So Zapier makes it easy to integrate with, well, not easy. Zapier makes it possible to integrate with all your apps. But if you're not an avid Zapier user, it can be hard to figure out how to use it and how to set it up. So we have these templates to help make that easier. So let's say you want to integrate with Ignition, right? You click it at the top here, you can see a guide. So if you click this, it's going to take you to the Help Center where you can see, just a little bit more information about the Zapier integration and like how it works and everything, and some tips for setting it up and a video on how to set it up, right? But go back. Oh no, here we go. Oh, it looks like, did that open? Oh no, here we go. Sorry, I got confused. But so that's a guide on how Zapier works if you need help setting it up. But also you can see all the different use cases. So you can understand, oh, how I can use it. And then let's say you want to use this one, for example, find clients, create a project in Financial Sense when Ignition proposal signed. So when a proposal is signed, it's going to find or create that client and then create the work for that client. So you can click enable. And this is going to take you into Zapier if you have an account, and it's going to have the template for actually creating that flow. So it makes it a lot easier. Now, there are still little things you need to know when setting this up. This is the template, but you have to put in certain details. And if you need help with that, again, up at the top here, click this, and it'll take you to an article where you can watch a video of me walking through exactly how to set it up and all the little pieces. So this new integrations page, not only is it better to just see and it looks cleaner, but it also provides more value in terms of if you want to use Zapier. So like for Calendly, right? You can see, create a new Financial Sense client from a Calendly invite, or create new Financial Sense contacts from a Calendly invite. It can help you figure out how to use Calendly. So it looks like we now have some actual questions. Will OneDrive integration include SharePoint? Shannon, it will not. It's going to have to be a separate integration. Make is much better tool for creating automations than Zapier. I know we've heard Make a few times. It's just something we can't do right now, but we can put it on the roadmap. Tip, if anyone else uses Taxome, use the Ignition integration template to add the clients to FC. That's a good tip, Shannon. Thank you. And some people who like it, and then we connect again. So if you want to get in the beta, Chris, I would just go to chat support, reach out to chat support and say, hey, you heard about that you can beta test Google Drive, OneDrive, and they'll be able to help you with that. So most of the premium integrations, which a premium integration is anything outside this top row. So these will be premium integrations, Smart Vault, Google Drive, OneDrive. It's part of the scale plan. So that's the cost that's involved with that. Also, one thing I didn't mention is when you click it, if you don't, I don't want to disconnect them because our team uses them for the demos, but it will tell you also about what the integration does. So what you can do with these integrations, which is, I think for OneDrive and Google Drive, the big things are going to be when you create a client inside Financial Sense, it'll create that client folder in Google Drive or OneDrive automatically. Also, you'll be able to access the documents in that client's folder from inside Financial Sense. So you will be able to see it on the project or on the client, the OneDrive link. And when you click it, it's going to open up all that client's folder on Google Drive and OneDrive. So your team can access the documents. And lastly, one thing we're trying to include is the ability to back up your files. So you can back up all your documents that are on Financial Sense to Google Drive or OneDrive. How does that sound? Does that sound interesting? Does that get you guys excited? No? No? Drop it in the chat. Okay, here we go. Very excited. All right. Some people really like that. That's awesome. All right. So let's go on to the next thing. We talked about the integrations page. Now let's talk about something we did to make it easier to find the documents that your team needs. you know, a lot of Financial Sense is your hub, right? It's where your work, it's where your team communication, your client communication, and all your documents, or some of your documents are stored. You want to be able to easily find that information. And so what we found was some people were storing documents on projects, and they'd go to the client profile and they didn't realize that they were not on the client profile. Then they had to go find which project it's in. So we've done something on the client's profile to make it easier and really centralize the documents so everything's more organized in your firm and you and your team can easily find those documents. So if you go to the client's profile now and you click the Files tab where the documents are typically stored, you now have this bar up here. And up here, you have your client files, which was always here. This is where you have all the folders for your client. You store documents on them, right? And you can share those folders with the client. But now you also have a project files tab. This will list all your projects for this client so you can access the documents on those projects. So you don't have to go and find, like, click through the projects to find those documents. So in this example, like this 1040 tax return project, if I click it, I can look at the project attachments and the client task attachments. So I don't know if there's any on this one. Oh yeah, there are. So you can see, now I can see the attachments on that project or the attachments on those client tasks. So it's now all centralized on the client's profile, making it easier to find and keeping things more organized. One other really cool thing is that you can search up here across, like maybe it's you want to find a specific document, maybe it's a bookkeeping document, and you don't know which monthly bookkeeping or tax return it's on. You can search bookkeeping, and then did it filter? Okay, yeah, it filtered just one. So maybe we just say filter tax. No, so what it does though, you can see is it filters down to only show the projects that have that bookkeeping document. And then when you click into it, it's going to show it. So it helps you find documents across all your projects as well. Again, just making it easier for you and your team to find the documents you need. And now it's also centralized in the profile. You don't have to wonder, is it on the profile? Is it on the project? It's all in one place. Let's see. Correct. It's the same files, Michael, but now you can just access documents that are on the project or on the client tasks on the client profile. Aneta, I don't know. We haven't to share an actual whole project folder with a client. That's something we don't have. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. Let's see. So great question, Cindy. So you see the Smart Vault tab. So if you have a Smart Vault integration or even like a OneDrive or a Google Drive integration, you will also be able to access the client's OneDrive folder from here, Google Drive folder from here, or Smart Vault folder. It won't show inside FC, but when you click it, it's going to open up that folder inside Smart Vault, Google Drive, or OneDrive. So now all your documents, whether it's in FC or not, can be accessed from this view by your team so they know where everything is and can access everything they need. So Lisa, I think what you're saying is a little bit different. You're asking if someone puts a document on a task in a project, will it show up on the project files tab? That I don't believe we still have yet. This is more of if there's a document on a project level, it can now be accessed here. I need to confirm and talk with the team if the task attachments show up here. That I'm not exactly sure about yet. Same thing for comments. Does saving documents in FC or client uploading documents in FC? Don, that's a really good question. Since we save the documents inside Financial Sense, and on the client task, why would you need them to also be in OneDrive? Some people just like to have a backup, and some people may just still be using OneDrive. So that's why we do offer the integration. Even they might still use OneDrive just for specific reasons. It just depends on the firm. You don't necessarily need to still use OneDrive, but it just really depends on the firm's needs. That is correct, Doreen. The client cannot see these project files. They can only see the files that you share with them manually. So even on the client, these files aren't all shown, just the ones I decided to share with the client. Okay, and go between them. Tracy, can you drag and drop between them? I mostly attach docs to task. Um, Tracy, what do you mean by that? Can you provide more details on what you mean by can you drag and drop between them? What do you mean? Will this sync with share file? When we have a share file integration, it will. Share files not, we're doing OneDrive and Google Drive right now. The goal is to back up and sync the documents to the DMS systems if that's what you want. Sync files in the project files tab. So Doreen, right now I'm on the client's profile. So the files tab, and you'll see project files on the client's profile. But that goes to the next update. Actually, hold on. I think there's a few more questions. How often do you update training videos to include the new features? Tracy, that's a really good question. The training videos need to be updated. They haven't been updated in a while, but I'm looking to update those in the next few weeks. Will the project files area also collect chat comments and attachments? Lisa, they won't right now, I believe. I need to confirm with the team, but if it's not, I can talk with the team about adding that. So the Google OneDrive integration, that will be on, so you integrate on an account level, so your firm's account, and then there's going to be a matching process. And we hope to have a system to auto match the best we can, but you can also manually match. This folder is for this client. So it's going to match the client folder with the client profile in our system from the account level. So it's going to have all your clients listed, and it's going to have all the folders that we think based on like matching by name that they're related to, and then you confirm, and then you hit integrate, and then it's going to sync everything. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to go to projects. So if you go to the projects, this is another thing. So we talked about how on the client profile, you can now access project files. Also, on the project, you can also access client files. So when your team's working, they need a file, maybe it's not on the project, they can access the client files as well from the project now. So they can pull up old bookkeeping documents, old tax returns, anything that they need to get their work done. So again, it's just centralizing everything, connecting everything, and integrating everything so it's easier for your firm to find the information they need. And on this left-hand side, talks about so we talked about the integrations, like Google Drive, OneDrive. So now if you have your Google Drive integration, you'll be able to open, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't have access, but like you can open like the Google Drive or OneDrive folders from inside Financial Sense so your team can access them. Okay. So let's see. Jerry, yes, you can already download your documents in bulk outside of Financial Sense. So if you want, like if I go back to the client, I could select all these and download all the folders and files. Well, let's make a virtual drive on my PC, like File Explorer. So we don't have like a desktop folder sync yet. It's something we want to implement in the future in 2025. So you can view the documents on your desktop. Um, I'm trying to understand if these are global files for a client, all files placed here. Great question, Dorian. So if you attach a document to a project, it's going to be stored on the project and the client now in this project files tab. So it is like a global centralized view of all the documents for that client all around Financial Sense is the goal. Can you link to documents and files in the client tasks instead of adding the attachment in the task list? Yeah, so if I'm understanding you right, Kim, when you click project files, you can view the client task attachments as well. So it's on the project or on the client task. Okay, so let's go on to the next piece. Looks like there's a lot of really good questions there. So one big thing is this released early this month, but I also mentioned it on the last webinar because it was like within a day before, but still in this month, was the new client tasks UI. So now when you create a client task, you're going to get hit with a wizard. And this wizard just helps you better understand how you can utilize client tasks. So request documents, send documents, request a signature, ask a question. And we're also going to have some other options like schedule a meeting, fill out this form, right? Where you can paste in a form. And what's cool is like request documents. It's going to ask you what to do. And it helps you understand how to better use the functionality. Like, do you want the documents to be uploaded to Financial Sense? Do you want to upload it to another destination by customizing the button? So like maybe a Google Drive link. You also can send documents, right? So it just better customizes the flow so it's easier for you and your team to intuitively use it better, but also understand the capabilities of it. And let's say you already are a wizard at client tasks. You already know how to use it. You don't want all these extra clicks. That's okay. You can disable wizard mode if you're already a wizard. So then when you create, it goes back to the old way. But if you want the wizard, you can turn it back on. Okay. Schedule a task. So Jolie, you mean when you mean a way to schedule a task for a later date, you mean to send a client request for a later date? That is coming after task sections because we're gonna have some functionality that's gonna allow us to do that. Susan, yes. So this is a big one. So this is gonna be, so let me talk about this because in task sections. Because this is all related. So if I change my screen. So one big thing, I mentioned this early on, we didn't have as many releases this month because we're really focused on getting task sections out there, which should be released this month. And what task sections is going to allow you to do. So if we go to like a current project, you just have this one task list, right? But maybe you want to create more detailed workflows. You don't have to, but maybe you want to. So maybe you have like a week 1 task list section, and you have a week 2, and a week 3, and a week 4, and then a month end close. So like 5 sections in one project. We're going to have the ability to do that soon. So what that's going to look like is, let me put this in prototype mode. It's something like this. So you'll be able to have like a section here, a section there, section here, sections of tasks. You don't have to do this, right? You can keep it the way you want it. That's fine. But if you want to create more detailed workflows and sections, you can. And there's a lot of benefits to this. You'll be able to drag them in order. You can also set automations on the section level, right? So create work, tag a project, send an email to a client. What's one really cool thing is you'll be able to expand tasks to see the subtasks under them, which is great. I know this is a popular one a lot of people want. They don't want to click into the task to see the subtasks. And you'll be able to easily drag them in the order. So one of the really big things that's coming with this, not in the first version, but this is also going to allow us not only to have sections of tasks, like team tasks, but for client tasks. So we're going to take client tasks from this view, right? And we're going to clean it up, make it look a lot better. It's really cluttered, right? We're going to have a new whole design. It's going to be even better. But you're going to be able to view your client task list in the same view as your team task list. So now it's actually a legit workflow. You'll see client tasks, maybe at the top, then your team tasks afterwards, and you can trigger automations between them. But what's really cool to go back to your question, Susan Fisher, is that you could have a client request at the top to first go out when the project starts. You can have your team tasks and then put a separate client request at the end. So you have two separate requests in one project that are independent of each other. So this first one could go out to different contacts at a different time. And this second one can go out at a later date to a different contact at that same company. And I know that's been a big issue a lot of people have had with client tasks. So not only is it going to create a better workflow overall, but it's going to give you a lot more functionality on client tasks as well. So there's a lot there to unpack. We've got a lot of questions. Let's start going through them. Okay. Yeah, Beth, that's a good example. If you're used to Asana, this kind of gives you that same vibe as Asana. So there's less of like a cognitive switch. And that's a big part of it too, Lisa. One of the reasons we are doing this is because what we found was a lot of people were creating multiple projects for one flow. For example, like monthly bookkeeping, they would have week 1 project, week 2 project, week 3 project, week 4 project, and then a month end close project. So they have 5 projects for one process and it would clutter up their view. But if you wanted to, you can keep it the old way, right? Because it does give you a little bit more visibility. But if you wanted to keep it all with one project to simplify your workflow view, so instead of 5, you have one project for monthly bookkeeping, you can now do that with the task sections. Diane, that's funny. Managing the project. Doreen, so that's a really good question. So if there are future recurrences to a project, so if you have this is a totally different to what we've been talking about, everyone. We're just going to answer this real quick. So what happened a lot of the time is people would update a past project, an older recurrence, right? You had future recurrences already created in Financial Sense, and they wanted the changes made to a past project pushed to the other future changes. So let's say you added new tasks or client tasks or updated description or change the dates. You can push those changes now to the future recurrences. That's why you get that banner here that says push changes to future recurrences. If you have more questions about that, I would love for you to actually ask chat support and let chat support know, hey, there isn't a help article for that. Could you provide me more details? And that will let them know to create a help article, but also they could probably give you some more context. Be nice to have managed notifications for each client task. So Susan, that's basically what's going to happen. Is it's not going to be for each individual client task in this list, but now you'll be able to have different notifications and manage notifications options for each client task. It just will be a group. Yeah, I'm really excited about this feature with the task sections, but also the client task piece. I think that's going to be game changer for you guys and help build much better workflows. Um, Sorry, I'm reading through a lot of these guys. Um, So, Karen, task sections will be released this month. We're about to start testing it later this week or early next and hope to release it soon after that. So task sections will be released this month. The client tasks moving into this view will be released later this quarter. That's not coming in this first version. But I'm pushing for it to get done quick because I know how valuable it's going to be. Okay, so I got through all the questions there. I'm glad you guys are excited about task sections as we are. Like, it's gonna be, I can't wait. I'm losing sleep over it actually because I get so excited about how valuable it's going to be, and I can't wait to see how you guys use it. Um, Especially the client task piece. That's going to be big. It's going to solve a lot of problems for everyone. And what's really cool is if I go back to this, is like these section automators. So it's the same automations you can set on the task level will also be available on the section level. And what's really cool is we're going to add some new automations as well. Imagine this, like an automation, like let's say this was a client request and this was the team tasks. When the client requests are completed, change the start date of the project to the day the client sent all the documents in automatically, right? Or the due date, like 10 days after the documents came in, or the start date 2 days after. Like you'll be able to change the start dates and the due dates based off when the client tasks got completed of the entire project. Or start the client tasks, like send it to the client once the team tasks are done in this section. So not just saying start the client tasks on this date, but starting the client tasks when the team gets their tasks done. So there's going to be some cool automations. Again, that's just going to make everything work more seamless and prevent less mistakes and just give your team more visibility. Alice, we did a poll yesterday about this in the Facebook group about making tasks independent, like tasks we call them to-dos. We're working on that design. It's probably going to be, it's not going to be in Q3 though, I'll say, but we're starting to get a really good idea of how we can do that. So the beautiful thing about this won't change your existing flows, because right now, essentially, everyone just has one section in their project. So you're just going to see a button down there now at the bottom of the project that says new section. And when you add a new section, you can now do that. So you'll be able to do this in existing templates, existing projects. And we are working on creating the feature that if you update a template, it won't come out in this version, but if you update a template, you can push the changes in that template to all your projects. So that is something we are working on creating, because I know a lot of you guys are going to want to update your workflows after this. We want to make sure that process is easy. Unfortunately, it won't be right away. You'll have to go and update all your projects, but we're working on something in the future to make that easier. Yes, Joel, the email automations and tasks and client tasks will be broken up with this too. Yes, Doreen, yeah, that's the next thing that's coming next is the ability to push changes from a template to all the projects created from that template. So you want your domain name in the emails, Kathy. We don't have that yet, at least not in Q3. I had to look at the roadmap for that. Okay, so now I wanna get some feedback from you guys on something that we're working on. So now that we've talked about these templates, right? These new, how are you gonna be able to build more powerful workflows? It's still gonna be easy, right? You can create a very simple checklist like you always have, but now it gives you the ability to build something more powerful, right? And the problem with that is it can be a little bit more difficult to do. You have to know a little bit more. So one thing we're gonna be coming out with in the future, or hopefully later this year, is a template library. A library not created by us, because if you've seen our templates for eStart Financial Systems, they're not that good. I created them. I'm not an accountant, but templates created by peers, actual accountants, that you guys can see how, and we see this a lot. How are other tax firms using Financial Sense? How are other bookkeeping firms using Financial Sense? How are they setting up their workflows? What automations are they using? Now you'll be able to easily see that, and then in a few clicks, add that to your account. with a template library we plan to release hopefully later this year. So that's something I'm excited about. But I jumped the gun there on that. My question is more about a feature that's coming out before that. So I'm going to release a poll real quick. Let's see. How do I do polls, quizzes? Okay. So I want to know, do you guys currently share workflow templates or workflows with other firms? A lot of no's, because some yeses. So yeah, like, do you share like your payroll process or it could be an FC template, or it could just be like, hey, this is how I do it. Do you guys currently do that with other firms? Let's see what people say. So we got about 2 people voted. Most are no. Okay, let me save this. Okay. So now I have another question for you guys. Oh. You don't do it right now, but would you? Do you see value if there was a way to easily share a workflow template? Would you want to? Do you see value in that? I want your honest opinion. Like if you like, I would never want to share my templates, say no. But if you do see value, like I would want to share my templates if there was an easy way to do that with other firms. Like you share yours, not them share them with you, right? Do you see value in that? Okay, so that's pretty surprising. Let drop it in the chat. I want to know why. Why do you see value in that? What about what makes you want to share your templates with other firms? Well, I'm reading some of these comments too. Best practices, saving others time, collaboration. Okay. So you like the ability to share. So this is kind of what we're thinking. So drop in the chat, how many of you guys use Loom? Like just where you can record a video, you copy a link and you can easily share it with someone. A lot of you guys use that? Okay, it's a great feature. So imagine that. Like let's say like inside Financial Sense, you create this badass template for a 1040 tax return. It has all these automations and you want to be able to share it with someone. You just can copy a link. You can choose like, do you want to include the descriptions? Do you want to include the like automations? And then share that link with someone. And when they click that link, they can see the workflow and they can say, sign up to Financial Sense to use it or add it to my FC account. Do you guys think that's pretty cool? Do you like that? You think that feature would not just be cool, but valuable? Okay. Here's the other thing. Imagine if every time, so the other piece of this is not just like to give you guys the ability to better collaborate. This also kind of leads into the template library eventually. It's different. Sharing is one thing, but also having a library where everyone shares their templates for people to view and like, oh, that's how someone's using it. Oh, they use those automated. Like it just helps people better implement the system. But what if there was, what if you could also be incentivized? Like, because one part of this is we want people to share like the templates they've created and the value they've done in their firm. Like, for example, I streamlined my 1040 tax return process this season. It saved me several hours a week. You guys should try to implement this. And for every new customer that signs up to that, what if there was like a referral program where like you get $100 off your account? I don't know. We're still thinking about it. But do you like that? Because what we found is that a lot of people, like if it's just a referral link, they won't share it. You don't want to post that in a Facebook group, but if you had a piece of content tied to that, like check out this template I created and how it saved me a few hours a week, and they use it, then the referrals done off that. So it's more authentic, it's more value add, and it rewards you for the time you put into building that template as well. So you're incentivized in some way. Okay. Hmm. Not confident enough to share, but willing to buy from people who are. That's great. I think it's gonna be great. I really like the idea of the program. Uh, So let's see what people are saying. Okay. So that was one thing. I appreciate your feedback on that. That was really great. Let's see. Oh, two other things. Um, so one thing we're going to be releasing is something to help new users when they get started. So when a new firm signs up, they'll now see something like this, which is like the steps to implementing Financial Sense, right? And like a video and tutorial links, just so it's just more, we have this information out there, but we're putting it in front of people. So new users can get easily set up. But one thing for our current users, which I think you guys will like, is an in-training program. So imagine inside Financial Sense. Here, let me do this. Prototype. Okay. Or, okay. So imagine inside Financial Sense, you guys go. I would love to hear what you guys think about this. You guys go invite a new team member. You type in their email, and then below here, there's a training program option where you can put them through a training program. And you can select videos like training video on workflow dashboard, so how to customize it and save views and filter, how all the aspects that go inside a project, client tasks, how they work. And you can select the modules. And then when your new user that you invited logs in, the first thing they see is this when they log in. There's a Get Started tab, and it's an overview of Financial Sense, how it's going to benefit them. And then they can see like important key terms. They can learn how to track work on the dashboard. It's like the core, like 2 to 3 minute, 5 minute tutorial videos. So it's like a training program for your team. And then at the end of each one, there's an action. So like in this one, it's create a saved view, create a project and delete that project. Send themselves a client request. Like there's action items they have to do to actually complete the module, not just watch the video, but something that shows that they understand and can do what was taught in the video. What do you guys think about this? A lot of love here. Okay, so a lot of people like this. Okay, that's good. So that was another big thing. That's going to be coming this month. The other thing that we're working on this quarter. So I talked about how we want to bring client tasks with sections in this view. So one thing that's going to happen with that is we're also going to create a unified global client chat. So right now, each client chat is on a project by project basis. They're all siloed from each other. But instead, it's going to be one chat for that client. So instead of it just being here, you'll be able to go to like in the portal, they'll have a tab that's called chat, maybe. I don't know what it's going to be called, or communication or comments for the client. The client will then be able to ask you questions, and then on the client profile, you will have like a chat box where you can communicate with the client if you want to use that, right? So it's now unified and it's not all siloed and segmented away from each other. So that's going to be a valuable feature. That's going to be coming hopefully when we bring the client tasks into the project view. Um, it would pretty much real time. Yeah. Yes, you can turn it off for certain clients if you don't want it. That's correct. Oh yeah, and lastly, this is what I've been talking about on the last two recap webinars as well, is the documents tab. We're still working on it, but the thing is we wanted to kind of actually better centralize the documents on the profile and on the project before we released it. But the documents tab over here. So picture just like your client dashboard here, or your client database where you see all the clients listed. Imagine a tab called documents where you can view all your client folders in one page. So you don't have to click into the client and then click into files to get to their documents. But another big piece about that is also a folder for firm files. So you can store documents just related to your firm, not related to a client. So you don't have to create a, a firm client to store all those documents. So that's something that we're working on as well. Oh, there's a question. Is that in software? Lisa, the in software chat is going to be included. It's part of the team plan. No, Alice, the clients are not going to be, so nothing's going to change. The clients are going to have to log in. Well, they'll have to get into the portal to use the chat. So it's the same thing we currently have on the portal, except now it's not going to live in the, let me see if I have a better idea. So like you see right here how the chat's here on the project. Instead, what's going to happen, or in the client portal on a project, that's not going to be there. Now the clients are only going to be able to comment on the tasks. However, instead of the chat being here, there's going to be a new tab on the portal, just like here, that says chat. So, and it's going to be a universal chat across all the work and everything, so they can communicate with you. And it's not on a project by project basis, but they can still communicate with you on a project by project basis with the comments on the tasks, if that makes sense. So comments will still exist to communicate about client requests, but chat will exist to just communicate about everything around the client with that client. And it's all going to exist in the portal and in here. So nothing changes about, they still have to access the portal to communicate with you. But you're just getting a more centralized communication channel with your client. Okay. Okay. All right. So I think I got most of the questions. Jolie, notes, no notes template yet. But okay. So I think that's everything. This actually went on a lot longer than I thought it would because there was a lot of really good engagement. I appreciate you guys for engaging. I really appreciate the feedback. If I did miss any questions, which I think I did, just go to the chat inside the app. The team can answer them for you, and should be able to get you that context. But I appreciate you guys for joining us this month, and make sure to join us next month. We're going to be talking about a lot of the new features. We should be talking about task sections next month, which will be great. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that looks. And I would just love to also get your feedback after we've released it so we can make it even better. So see you guys next month. Till then, take care, and I'll probably see some of you guys around. And happy 4th. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Enjoy it.